I am
Can you do our
ready.
podcast? I know you're really busy with your own podcast now.
I'm really
You're a
busy with
solo
my
band.
own. I'm a
Yeah,
solo band. Listen,
you got a solo band.
there's only so much that I can do with you because you're a professional, right?
Justin Timberlake, when he left NSYNC,
Yeah.
he had an amazing career, and I can't even name the other
Are
guys
you making
anymore.
that reference again? Well,
I'm
listen,
just, I'm
you're
just
gonna have
saying.
to make sure that you don't
I,
disappear into
I'll end up being
obscurity.
like the other guys of NSYNC that you never really, you don't really know what they're up to anymore. They're not in
There's
the
a
spotlight. They're
there
not dating any of the celebrity chicks, that's for sure.
somebody wrote a line, and I forget who, but it was something like, "Whatever happened to the other guy in the rock group Wham?"
Yeah.
There was two guys in Wham, but nobody remembers that other guy. But
But
it's
sorry,
not George
who's
Michael's
the,
fault
is
that
it
nobody remembers the other guy.
So George Michael was in Wham and he had a partner? Sorry,
Well, I
I
mean,
don't
it
know.
helps. Yeah, you're too young. You're too
I'm
young.
sorry, Daryl. You're
I'm walking
building.
over there.
You're in the building stage.
I'm in the building
You're in the
phase.
building stage. Yeah. Don't
Yeah.
worry.
Well, I got bigger fish to fry though right now because this goddamn market is a fucking disaster.
Only
On
if you think it is.
only if you think it is. If you're
Daryl.
awake and in it, and
No, listen, this
no.
is so okay. I was talking to
Okay,
someone
we're
else. I
different.
sold
We're talking different markets,
no,
TK.
no, I'll tell you the story. Okay, because it applies to all markets. Okay.
Yeah.
Last year, someone said to me, TK, I've talked to other four commercial agents. They all say it's not the time to sell an office commercial condo right now, and we really need to sell. But everyone's telling me the market's this, the market's that. What do we do? And I said, well, you get it sold. When can I meet? And they said tomorrow. Went and met with them. We got it priced right. We sold in 2 weeks. They're super happy. She's called me recently for some other stuff. They're thrilled with their decision. Someone else told me about the condo market's not doing too good. And I don't do a ton of condos. I'm like, 90% detached, semi-detached freehold type of houses. And on the residential side. And so I said, yeah, I do condos. Let's do it. So I listed the condo and I got it listed at the right price. And within 10 days, we got it sold conditional. Sent out the status last night. Financing's due today. Like, you just got to get it priced right, Daryl. And you got to get people's expectations in line with where the market's at today. So if something's not selling, there is a buyer out there for it, whether it's pre-construction or freehold or condo or commercial, industrial, office, land. There's always a price that the market will absorb the product.
Are you looking for the best merch store on the planet? Well, we got the shit for you. Coming in at low prices where we barely make any money off of whatsoever, you can get the greatest real estate merchandise on this platform. Just look at this very flamboyant man putting on this great stuff. He looks great, he's dancing great, and boy does he look sexy in that merchandise. I tell you, buy this for anybody, you buy this for yourself. You will be not only repping the greatest Canadian real estate podcast in this world, but you will also be looking hella good doing it.
So
Sure.
not what
There's
you want
always
to
a
hear as
price.
a
Sure.
seller. Not what you want to hear. I
And
get it.
well, first of all, I'm not a seller. Second of all, from the perspective of the realtor, it is an extraordinarily different ordeal. Now, there are plenty of realtors that are in their own personal ordeals. They're not making enough money. There's not enough I guess there's enough to sell, but there's not enough people to sell stuff to. Now,
Three out
hold
of
on.
four realtors last year sold zero houses.
Right. So I mean, and then that does it's not the same ones
Three out
every
of four.
year, right?
Three
Like
out of four.
they sell one here and there, or they have some other reason to have their license. But the reality is, TK, is we can't use you as a benchmark, okay? Because you got your own thing going on that's very different from the rest of the market. Okay. Now, also from the if we're going to talk about residential sales right now, like a house, okay, um, the difference in price to the realtor has no effect virtually, but the getting realistic for the seller, right? When you need something in order to be whole is a whole other ball game, right?
In
So
order to be whole, but explain to me, where did that come from?
well, I mean, okay, so if you're in shit, okay,
Yeah.
if you're all fucked up and your world's coming apart and you got no money and you're about to lose your house and you're about to lose your job or you just lost your job or you fucked up a deal or whatever the hell happened,
Okay.
okay, you are coming from a different perspective. You're looking at it like, okay, if I want to come out of this hole, meaning the maximum, I guess, personal tolerance for debt afterwards, or maybe at zero and get a fresh start. Maybe the goal is to have 100 grand after. Anyways, whatever the target is for the end result that you have in your head, you need a specific number, right?
Yeah.
And so it's hard until the market beats the fucking shit out of you to actually realize, oh shit, I better get to the right price. My price was wrong, right?
Right.
It's for
And
the
if you
realtor, it's
hire
like
the
get
right
to the right
realtor,
price,
if
dummy.
you
Or
hire the
like,
right realtor, they're going to be like, this is the right answer. If your realtor sold nothing last year, they're going to say, whatever price you want to list at, let's give it a
but
try.
that's a
And
problem,
6 months
right?
later, you'll realize that they lied to you and they stole money from the table of your children, and they will starve now because you didn't get the right
No,
information the
but hold
first
on.
time.
You and Tom both said the same thing, that like the ideal situation is for them to have gone through that with somebody else already, right? Because they
Well, it just
need
makes our
that.
job easier.
Of course, right?
So,
That's
but
ideal.
sometimes we have to do a little bit of tough work, Daryl, in order to be
Yeah,
able to get things done. And I'm not saying it's perfect and it'll work every time, but this is the point. The point is this: all those scenarios that were spinning together there were all scenarios that sellers put themselves in.
sure.
What should the people do?
Yeah, like, comment, subscribe. I'm double subscribed. Do it yourself. Didn't get to fix the show though. Didn't get to fix the show.
And so
For
now
sure.
the market is what the market is. Listen, you got
100%.
variances. Your agent can pump up the market by a few points here or there. Your agent can drop the ball and by a few points here and there. But you're not going to get 20% more because you hired the right agent. Bottom line is the market will dictate your outcome.
Sure.
Okay. At
It's
the particular time that you're selling. So my point is that seller has to accept where the market's at the time that they're going on the market. So whatever price property they are. And I'm trying to say this to you, Dale, right now. I'm offering you very good advice here.
appreciate that.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is even if it's in the development world and you're going to be launching a project in the face of a tariff war, pre-construction, Armageddon, a uncertainty we've never seen in most of our lives, in an election time where we're changing of governments again brings more uncertainty. There is a price that will sell any project right now to prospective buyers, and every project has their price.
For sure. And so, okay. So if you're not an investor in the deal, that price can be whatever moves the units, right? It doesn't matter. If you're the guy running the deal, it has to hit a certain level before it's like, oh shit, this is going to be really bad for everybody. I'm going to look really bad. I'm going to lose a bunch of money. This is going to really hurt. This is going to suck. I'm going to lose everything, right? There's different perspectives on that statement. And so when you're the person who's the most affected, at least financially, right? Or
Uh-huh.
mentally, or probably both, because they're tied
But
together,
how does your feelings alter reality again?
it's not the point. It alters the amount of time it takes to realize reality.
Okay, but reality is reality. We can agree on that.
Reality is
Okay,
reality,
good.
no doubt.
Reality is reality.
But
Okay.
the realtor
Yes.
has a much easier time coming to grips with reality
Without
because
emotion.
it doesn't affect them the same way. So let's just take an example of somebody who needs to sell the house for $900,000 in order to achieve their targeted safety zone.
But
Okay.
why is that targeted at 900? Why is it not targeted at a million or 1.2 or 1.5?
Because they think it's worth 900 and
But
they
but but
need to get 900 to
but
be
why not
whole.
need a million? If it's about what you need,
Fine.
Daryl,
So
you should
fine. So
need
say a
more.
million. You're missing the
No,
point.
1.2.
Fine, 1.2.
Okay.
So if the market's at 800 that whole time,
Yeah.
right? For 900 to 1.2, whatever the hell number is in my head, right?
Yeah.
If the market's really at 800 or 700, the amount of time it takes me to get there is dependent on my perspective, right? And what
Good.
my needs are and what my wants are. And it might be wrong and it might be skewed and it might be stupid and foolish and idiotic, but it's reality too.
It's reality.
It's reality, right? Because
Gotta suck it up.
imagine, no, but okay. So from TK Butler's perspective, the realtor, it's suck up $100,000, buddy, and let's move the product.
No, it's not
But
just my. It's not
It's
the
the
realtor's
reality.
perspective.
Fine.
It is what is actually happening in real time.
I get it. But from the person's perspective, they're like, oh, fuck.
It's a difficult
$100,000,
decision.
I'm fucking done.
It's
over.
a difficult decision. I
My
know.
life is over.
It's a
okay?
difficult decision. But losing
Now-
everything and walking away with nothing, or as a developer, I'm just going to example, not you, but as a developer,
Yeah.
being able to complete a project, make a little bit of money,
Well, we're not even
get a
talking about
reputation.
developers now.
I'm just saying, get a reputation, earn, some stripes and work on to another project and buy some more deals and all that kind of stuff. It's still better than the worst case scenario. Pass. Welcome. Sorry.
Gentlemen.
Daryl and I we had a little bit of a meeting here on
Good to
the
see
future of the podcast. We're thinking about a new name, the TK Butler Show. What do you think?
TK Butler show. Here it
It's
comes.
about time, man. You've been carrying it this far, so
He's
let's
been
go.
carrying it. The proof's
Thank
in
you.
the pudding. See,
Thank
more
you.
evidence. See,
Good.
I'm
Listen.
doing you a favor, TK.
DK is the leading indicator on Canadian real estate. I come in here to make sure, are we hot? Are we warm?
Where's
What's
the
happening?
market going? Well, condos are
Where's
hot
the
because I
market?
had one condo listing and I sold a conditional in 10 days. So obviously the
Flying
condo
off the
market
shelf.
has to be.
Ripping
Oh my
to
God.
the
hot.
moon.
They're flying off the shelf, man.
Yeah.
Let's go. Worksheets in by 5 p.m.
Worksheets
tonight.
in.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
That will never happen probably for the next 10 years. But anyway,
10 years before anyone sees a worksheet. Yikes.
No, I know. Well, we know of a site at One Thelma that is going to have worksheets.
okay,
out the
exceptions
union.
apply.
Those
there
are
some
full-blown, full-blown APSs.
spoken for. Those
Not
are
even-
spoken for. There's no worksheets. You have to actually know a guy to get in on the wait list, and there's no pre-con guy involved.
No, you
Let's
actually,
not even talk about it because they're already sold. Let's
You
guys,
need
Yeah,
to-
just
there you
don't
go.
don't get people excited.
no, but you need to know somebody who's purchased to have a chance at purchasing a unit. If
Yeah.
you purchase a unit, you get a golden ticket to
By
give out to
referral.
people. Yeah,
By referral only.
I get to invite one neighbor,
Oh my God.
We can't just trust anybody.
not just anybody. Can you imagine? Like, just Vaz walks in off the street, wants to buy a unit. What are we
I'll
supposed
pay
to
full
do?
price. Who do you
Oh,
think
yeah.
you are?
Who do you think you are, mister?
Oh my God. Over my pay grade, but anyway. Maybe I can buy a parking spot there.
You got to own a unit to get a parking spot.
Yeah,
so
sorry.
I knew you guys would
Yes.
get me somehow. Maybe a locker. How about a locker?
Same
thing.
deal.
It's the
Same
same
deal,
thing.
bro.
ouch.
It's okay.
But there's an option for both of us to work as the valet.
There
so
you go.
me-
Back to
me and you
Markham,
can
back to
do
Markham,
shift.
I
We
go.
can do 12-hour shifts on and off, you and I.
That's right.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
The only successful deal coming to Toronto anytime soon.
Amazing.
That's what's
Amazing.
happening. Welcome back to the show. When was the last time you were on?
So it's been a
Well,
while.
I think it's annual now, right? Like once a year. Maybe
a
it was a year.
A year?
I don't know. I
It
think
feels
so.
like that. It feels long enough. Like
Yeah.
it's been like that. You've been on a few times. We've been doing the show now for
few
coming up on
lives.
5 years. So yeah, you've been
But what
around.
happened? It's Saturdays. I thought this is like a live or something. I wasn't sure what to. You guys don't give me any heads up, right? You're just like, hey,
We don't
come
know.
in and that's it.
We don't know what we're
Right.
doing.
No heads up. You know this. We don't really prepare anything. We
We
used
record
course
earlier
not.
now. No, we record earlier now to give
Okay.
the editor more time and
Ooh, editor. Okay.
just to have made that sound fancy.
You guys are blowing up.
What do you think this is around here?
And
Oh, man.
and just so our topics are usually like a few days old, because by the time whatever we talk
Okay.
about today, something will be announced within the next 48 hours that
The way things
the
are
people in the
now.
comments will know on Sunday that we didn't talk about. So
That is a real problem, actually. Yeah,
Strategy.
because everything moves so quick.
Lately, especially, it's like fucking insane.
but I just want a quick update from Vass. What have you been up to?
What
Are
are
you
you
building
doing?
something? Are you working on something new? Like what's going on in your life?
Oh my God. Well, I've taken a hiatus from social media, just from the real estate perspective, and I know it makes no sense to you guys especially, but in the last probably 6 to 12 months, there's a lot of audience capture. So in other words, if you see your favorite content creators, everybody's just kind of, not everybody, but a lot of them are just kind of falling prey to what the audience wants to hear. So a lot of the negative stuff. So I basically wanted to detach because if you're bringing something objective to the market, it's just not received well, right? Because everybody just expects more nonsense. So that's been the biggest change. I still I'll do my market stats on YouTube once a month. I'll do interviews with people. I did one with Darryl recently, which is going to go live next week.
Oh, nice.
but-
Next week.
Yeah. So that's where
Cool.
I'm at. Social media has been tough. I mean, it used to be a great place to kind of get sniff out, trends and things, but you can't rely on it, and just it's just way too much audience capture across the board. That's just my take anyway.
There's a different type of stench right now in social media. Not,
Look, things are not good. Things are not good, right? But they're not
mm,
like it's not like doom and gloom. Like things are still moving. Obviously, it's slow. This is the third year that's going to be very slow. We're like operating at what, 60% of where we should be transaction wise. And this year is going to be the same, right? Maybe even slower. I don't know because of the tariffs. But we can't just constantly post about, okay, it's a crash, it's this. It's just, I don't know. It's tiring. It's tiring for me personally. So I can't participate. So for me, it's just better to detach and let somebody else handle that. And you
Well,
can't consume it either.
the title for this episode I had worst market ever. So
Which is perfect. That's recycled from 4 weeks ago,
that's right. Or
which is
even last week, right?
and 8 weeks ago
Crash
and
coming.
23 weeks ago.
but to be fair, that title would be appropriate today, I think.
They're
To
always
be fair,
appropriate from a perspective, right? But we
I
do
think it's
play the
appropriate.
old reel them in, and well,
Yeah.
sometimes we keep them here too.
So you know how I am very data driven and I talk about seasonal trends. And if you look at seasonal trends in the last 20 years, despite whether it's financial crisis, COVID, whatever, we always have a spring market. Always. It does maybe sometimes it starts early, sometimes it starts late, but we always have a spring market, even in a bad economy, even if things are not good. This is the first time I have seen, based on the data, where obviously February was really rough and I don't know, March is it's hard to say right now how it's going to pan out. But this is the first time I've seen the spring market get affected this much. And it's entirely because of what's happening in the States, right? The tariffs, especially, and all that talk. So it's actually been crazy. This is the first time in 20 years, at least as far as the data tells us, that we really have had a big miss in the spring market. Now, I still feel that cautiously optimistic. We might have a spring market. It just may start, I don't know, it might start in April. I don't know. I think we'll still see something,
I think it's over.
but
I think
you
we had
think
it
it's
in Jan
over? What?
based on
No.
our data, which is,
Oh my
very
God.
just like, what we are experiencing, is it happened in January. There was two
Wow.
weeks
Okay,
in
that's
January.
big.
There was 2 weeks in January where the showings were crazy, the offers were crazy, things were intense, and it happened last year around the same time, and things fizzled out. And I'm thinking this year, yeah, we'll just have like a really boring spring market. It'll probably slow down even more in the summer. Like, I mean, how is it going to pick up? Like, where are all those buyers all of a sudden going to come from? And there's just more
Okay.
and more sellers just listing. Like, they're just
Wow.
trying to get rid of their properties. So,
Well,
anyways, that's my 2 cents.
well, but think
Um,
about it. I mean, why, unless you absolutely had to, or like the dream house that you've been watching for eternity comes up on the market, like
mm,
why? Why not?
mhm.
If you can wait a couple months to kind of just get a little more certainty or clarity on what the hell's going on out there, why the
So
hell wouldn't you?
So I'll give you some. So I mean, listen, you actually could be right, and I hope you're not. And I mean, again, I think it's too premature to call it over just yet. But okay,
Today's the
so
first day of spring, especially. Yeah.
right, exactly. And people's moods are improving. March breaks over, but my first sale this year was the second or third week of January. Sammy spoke to the people in November before we listed. I told him the range was 950 to $1 million, right? And sure enough, January comes. I didn't want to list in January, but they had already bought, so we had to list. It was just kind of like what Darryl said. They found the perfect place. So it's like, we're ready to go. We don't care. We found the perfect place. We're fine. We're listing. It doesn't matter. So I told them 950 to $1 million. Off we go. We do everything to prep the house over the Christmas holidays. Everything is good. We list. I'm the guy a lot of people hate, but this is coming from talking to a lot of agents that move a lot of units. And even in today's environment, for most properties, it's still beneficial to run an offer night to gather intel. Because one of the worst things you can kind of do right now is list, because there's so much price uncertainty in terms of where you should be pricing things because of what's happening, right? So it's still good to run an offer night just to see. You may not sell on that offer night, like 80% you may not, because the offers may not come in where they're supposed to. But it's still, you kind of get an idea of what the feedback is, where people are, where the offers are landing. So this property, 48 showings, open house was slammed. It was winter time. We ended up with 10 offers. We sold at 961. And a lot of the offers were pretty close. So we were on the low range of the 950 to a million, but we were in the range, so we sold. Since then, I've had multiple other offer nights on other listings, and they happened, when the Trump stuff started picking up tractions, and it's been one flop after another. In fact, I have an offer night tonight on a
What is it?
property. It's a detached in Markham. Nice house, turnkey. It's, original owner. Beautiful house, beautiful lot. Shows very well. This one I think will sell. I think this one will be similar to the one I told you about earlier, where we're tight on the range. But here's the thing. So the range on this house, when I originally spoke to them, was in the 145 to 1.5. I don't think we're gonna get in that range today. And this was the range we spoke about during the Christmas holidays. So now that we're listed, and now that we've seen the comps coming out in the neighborhood and what's sold in the last 30 days, everything is selling well below where they should be this spring. People are taking haircuts, and I think sellers are capitulating. So I think we're going to sell. I think we're going to end up with 5 or 6 offers, and I'm already seeing, I already had 2 preemptives or 2 bully offers. So I think it will be fine, but I don't think we're going to hit the range. I think we're going to be a little bit below, but these people, I don't think they're looking to squeeze out every single penny out of it. So we'll see. I don't know, but that's where things are at right now as we speak this Thursday.
Well, I did one in January. That was like my best sort of like, I think I had like 15 offers or something like that.
Oh, wow.
Closing March 31st. I got a call from the agent about a week ago asking for an extension. He's like, I'll just send over an amendment. Like, it's no big deal. I'm like, listen, tell your clients to call their lawyers, right? Like, this is going to cost you. My guy is away, so he comes back, and I told him, he says, like, this is really like disappointing. Like, I'm really like, planning on moving like in the next 10, 11 days here. So
I need the money, no?
I went back to one of the other offers in the offer night. I said, you guys buy? They said, no. I said, you still interested? They said, yep. I said, great, prepare your offer. March 31st, they don't close. We'll accept yours on April 1st. Make sure you can get about a 2-week closing from the bank, have everything ready to go. We got a big deposit, so bring back the offer that they brought before. It's less than what we accepted, but my guy can just sue the buyer that he took the offer from originally. And I told that to the other agent, said we won't be giving an extension. We got your deposit. I got someone else lined up. This is welcome to real estate 2025.
Yeah.
Like, what are we gonna do? We're not gonna wait around for you. And if you don't have your financing, and you play a game on offer night to get the deal and give us a short closing and do all the things we want, to just come back for an extension, right?
Yeah.
Another one I did too with a closing at the end of this month. Same thing. That's for like a 90-day extension, and I was like, this is really
90.
expensive. I know, so it's really expensive because of my client's situation. So I told them they're not getting back to me right now. So we'll see. Maybe they'll
Okay,
still
that's
close.
cool. That's
Yeah.
always good. That's a nice week right there. That's good stuff. Yeah, this is kind
Extensions,
of like
problems.
Yeah.
I also had a house get taken away power of sale, by the way. So sold
Oh my
conditional
God.
during the power sale, sold conditional. Update on that one is the buyers have lost interest. The bank's giving us, we have to like assume, the new lender has to like assume the power of sale, and then we've got to give the notice of sale and wait 35 days. Like, I'm like, oh my God, this is too
Oh
much.
my God. It was weird
And
though.
there's so many open building permits on this place that I'm like, there's too much risk. It sounds like it's going south. I would
Yeah,
say it's
Oh,
gone south.
It's
this is amazing because I feel like I'm in good company. I got an email yesterday from an inspector. One of the properties that I have listed had an expired permit, so they told us to basically shut down everything that they were doing. Nothing crazy was happening, but um, that's amazing. By the way, I want to say I don't want to actually dox myself, but there was a listing, Frank Leo listing, very close to me. And the craziest thing happened here. I don't know if your office talked about it, but it sold.
Mhm.
The seller passed away in the home before closing. They found him. He was an older guy.
Yeah.
And I think the closing went through, but I don't know what kind of drama went into that because they like,
Happens
uh,
to us like at least once a year. One
oh
of our
my God.
sellers
Yeah,
dies
I
before
couldn't believe
closing.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is because I mean, it just, there's the stigma and depending on the culture of the person buying the home, like it's
Those ones, the city of Toronto will expedite the probate process. So because he
yeah.
signed himself and it was when he was alive and we sold it then, those ones will get expedited like they used to before. It's when the person's already passed and then you list. Like I got one of those coming up where we're doing like a probate clause,
Yeah.
just
Oh,
because.
you're
But
gonna list even
it's
before probate.
it's in Durham.
Okay. Okay, so the courts
Darryl.
are faster there, probably, so it should
It's a
be
little bit
relatively
faster
quick.
there. And that one there, the guy's got a reverse mortgage, and the reverse mortgage is
Oof.
saying we want our money. And if you don't
Okay.
have it by a certain date, we'll take you power of sale.
Yeah.
So we're going to sell the property. If I don't have a closing date in time and the probate comes in time, I guess would be my biggest concern before the reverse mortgage people want the house, then we'll give them the money. We'll buy out the home equity mortgage and close it because there'll be a firm offer in place. It's an easy deal, maybe a 2 month bridge or something. But the probates that are signed, the expedited probates that happen after the person signed dies before the sale, those ones, yeah, like a couple days, probate done.
Nice.
It's put on the judge's desk and says, "Guy just died in the house. Here's the will. Here's the application. We got an APS that's next week or 2 weeks from now," and they just sign it. You get probate right away.
I had a
So
phone call this morning with a guy, crazy situation. You know who it is, TK. He's about to get power assailed on his property.
mhm.
He's got like way too much debt on it. He's got a bunch of illegal suites throughout the whole thing. Like he's got stop work orders from the city on this thing,
Yeah, yeah,
and they're threatening to go power a sale. And he's like, I don't care. Like, take the damn thing, power sale. Good luck to you with this thing. Cause
yeah.
like imagine the lender who's already like this lender is already way
Regrets.
overextended on this.
Yeah,
Yeah, like too much risk. And they've got to deal with all of that. And all of
yeah.
that just doesn't go away with like an application and some drawings. Like
No,
it needs ripping the building apart and redoing stuff and undoing stuff. And it's such a nightmare.
yeah.
It's crazy the stories that are happening right now. And so this guy like listed a bunch of times, couldn't get it sold. And actually, if you're do you know who I'm talking about,
Yeah,
TK?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So do you remember before COVID, he had a
I remember the
firm
deal. Yeah,
deal
yeah, yeah.
that fell apart right before like
Encroachment. It was an encroachment.
closing, right?
Yeah,
Some bullshit reason, which was totally legit, but like for him, it was bullshit.
yeah,
And this has just been a nightmare forever for this guy. And now it's like coming to roost finally
yeah.
because he's like 2 weeks away. And he's like, I don't know what to do. What do I do? I go, did you try and sell it again? He goes, well, no. I'm like, well, why don't you try and sell it again?
Yeah. Might not be the option that's going to work best. I mean,
I
in
don't
those
know what
situations,
works
you stop
best.
making payments,
Yeah, he just
you
did.
collect all the rent still, and you wait until the sheriff comes,
This is
and you take as
exactly
much
what he's
money
doing.
with you as you can possibly take.
But
Yeah.
then what?
Then you're
Then
like
they'll sue
me.
you after they sell for the rest of the money that you owe them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fuck.
Yeah.
I have a property, an industrial property that's currently in power of sale. I put it in power of sale because I'm the lender on it. And that was an exciting process. So, but
Industrial condo,
no, industrial,
like
like
freestanding.
warehouse. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it hasn't been pretty. Changed the locks November 14th.
Yeah.
That created, like people talk about these things like, oh, I did this, but the amount of heat and things that happen on the back end, like imagine you're running a business, somebody's changing the locks because you haven't been paying your rent or your mortgage and whatever,
Yeah.
however many months. It's in industrial, it's a little bit quicker. It's like 36 days and I can go and change the locks and stuff.
Yeah.
But then, stuff's missing, stuff's stolen, like things like that. So it's a big headache, man. There's a lot of stuff. And for me, it's obviously my first time actually going through it myself.
Mhm.
It sucks, but this is the new norm, man. This is the real estate market kind
This is
of.
what you got to be prepared to do if you're a lender.
Yeah.
You can't
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can't think it's all like
Yeah.
unicorns and rainbows here.
Absolutely not. Yeah. So
Yeah.
you have to be prepared. You have to have the staying power because, industrial is not going to sell. It's going to take, 6 to 12 months. I have
Yeah.
it listed with a commercial broker and stuff that specializes in that stuff in that area.
Yeah.
And it's been slow. It's been very slow. And I mean, I expect it to be slow. And then in the meantime, who's paying the property tax
What's the
and the
loan to, what was the
insurance?
loan to value on it?
I'm gonna keep that off the. Yeah, we're not gonna talk about it
It was
here.
a
But
Not good,
high
yeah.
interest loan.
That's the thing is, right? Yeah, these
Why
loan to
he did it.
values.
the loan,
But
so it wasn't anything predatory. Everything was like market rate. Everything
no, I
was.
know, I know. I'm just saying because what happens is usually like all the ones that I'm dealing on now, it's like there's just no equity left anymore in a lot of these places, and so it's like, it
We're gonna
didn't
take a
exist.
haircut. We're taking a haircut.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
on the
didn't
equity.
exist when the loan was being issued. It was just like when the markets come down now, and then you know, however many months they are behind, you're adding up all this interest.
Yeah.
Different
They got
rent
arrears,
levels,
then you got all
different
your
land.
judgments and legal fees and
Yeah.
everything to get to power sale. And it's just like at the end, it's like I can see now why guys that Darryl deals with, they're all like 55, 60% loan to value. Like they don't want to touch nothing because they just like it's just a risk factor on like the bigger deals that they
Right.
just
Yeah.
can't tolerate, you know?
And then so there's the equity, the debt to equity ratio, but then there's also what these people can do to the property while it's in their possession that you have no clue about that could have detrimental impact, right? Especially with
Yeah,
these industries. What if there's an environmental issue? Good luck now. Are you
sure.
doing phase one,
Yeah.
phase two? Like what's happening? So
Pouring concrete down
it's
the drains and stuff.
yeah, like anything, like well, yeah, pouring your oil down the drain or something like that. It's it's part of it, man. It's again, it comes with the territory. For me, I'm not complaining. I'm just saying it's been interesting to say the least. But yeah, there's lots of sleepless nights because you're dealing with stuff like this on an ongoing basis.
Yeah.
And then you have that, you have actual client deals, right? And the client deals to me, those are close to me because obviously I'm on the best result. And you're carrying a lot of their stress on your own shoulders, right? Because you're worried about them. It's like especially the reverse mortgages. I know I did one. I think it was last year. And I think that if we didn't sell by a certain date, the equity chew out, like they were going to take another 300K they wouldn't lose the house, but they would basically accrue about 150K in interest on top of it. And ultimately, it would erode something like $300,000 worth of equity that was in the home. So the following renewal, they would have been forced to sell. But these are big things. Like, and I'm worried about them because they're older, and it's like you don't want that to happen.
Are you a real estate agent and you're looking to make a change anywhere in Ontario? Guess what? We're hiring. Frankly and Associates, #1 team in the GTA for all Remax teams, #1 team for all teams from all companies for number of units sold throughout Toronto. So if you're looking to make a change, best decision I ever made was to join Frankly and Associates. Go to jointeamleo.com and we can set up a call.
So yeah,
I know.
so again, these are the worst case scenario. Most people are not in these situations. So, but this is the reality of real estate. We had it way too good for too
You
long.
say most people as in just the general population, but most people who are selling right now
Are in the
have
deep.
got these
Yeah.
type of things going on in the background because the average person right now is like it's not a good time to sell. So I'll give you an example.
Okay,
Someone
go
called me
ahead.
for advice today
Okay.
and they bought a house for 1.17 and the mortgage on the property, not including commissions and legal fees and all that kind of stuff, totaled like 1.25. And so there's no way that the seller can do the deal. And they just found this out because they did a title search and closings in the next, like, I don't know, couple weeks, I guess. And so they're asking me, like, okay, well, the lawyer's asking to say that we're going to sue them and ask them for compensation. I'm like, what money did these people have? What are you going to get compensation from? They owe 1.2 on a 1.17 house. Why did the realtor accept that offer? I have no idea. But it's actually now the buyer's agent's responsibility as well on every property that we're buying to protect our buyers and to do a parcel register and see what kind of debt is on the property.
Oh
Because
yeah.
our
Oh
clients are
yeah.
relying on us now to say, well, we're going to sell our home. We're going to move into that home. It's got to be ready by a certain date. And you're going to find situations where this can come up. And you need to be careful because you find out at the title search 2 weeks before closing. Sure, you don't accept title. Sure, you can sue them afterwards. Sure, you can refuse to close. But like now your clients don't have a place to live.
Yeah. No.
Right? So it's a whole new market where the level of experience, this is why we always talk about that. Like when the market's really good, all the people who don't know what they're doing are successful and that they look like heroes and superstars and anybody really can do the job, like, if that's a thing. But
When
when
the
the market
job is
changes,
putting it up on the MLS,
well,
basically.
like they don't do a great job,
Right.
but what people perceive as the job is
Yeah.
being done.
Yeah.
And then when you are in a bad market, this is when the skill comes out and all the little things that need to be, sorted out in order to be able to facilitate a sale, both on the buy and sell side, will in turn, kind of leave the people who are actually able and capable and knowledgeable still with a license trading in real estate, and the rest will all go, holy crap, this is way harder than I thought. And
It's
they'll go
the
somewhere else.
experience of dealing with those little things that come up through doing deals that you're
Yeah.
prepared to do them when they come up in crazy town. Because even in a good market, a lot of the stuff that we're talking about actually happens, right? Those things are happening. Big companies like Frank Leo's dealing like one a year or whatever of everything. Every scenario probably comes up in that place, right? Like there's so many sales that go
Simple
on.
ones, yeah.
But like up market, down market, there's weird, crazy shit going on all over the place. Now is an especially different market. And I was thinking about it earlier today, maybe it was yesterday. A lot of the conversations I'm having with people in my part of the industry are quite somber at the moment. Everybody is very depressed and unsure of what the next move is supposed to be. And so it's an interesting perspective because like we haven't really seen any fallout from this market kind of slowing the way it has. I know some realtors feel like it and some mortgage brokers feel like it, but that's not like the whole thing, right? We obviously started to see some construction workers losing jobs as projects started finishing and new projects not being there for them. But now we're starting to see big consulting firms, right? And other ancillary companies, suppliers, manufacturers, all starting to lay people off. And like, I think now might actually be the beginning of this layoff cycle as it kind of filters into the rest of the economy, right? It was very whatever we felt has been very segregated to the real estate market, but now it's starting to have the ripple effects into the construction and the sub trades and the consulting firms, and it's an interesting place. And so what I was trying to figure out earlier was, how does this rate versus the uncertainty in 2001 when the planes hit the towers, or when COVID hit and the whole world stopped, or in 2006, 7, 8, when depending on what country you were in, when the great financial crisis happened, there's all this uncertainty and the markets froze up. And I don't know if this one is better, worse, indifferent. This one seems, I don't know. COVID was pretty crazy, but then next thing you know, like the world was like on fire. Like everybody was buying everything. Everybody had free money flying at them, right? And so 2008, like it went down, stopped dead, and then like boom, rebounded like crazy, right? 2001 also was like this weird thing happened. Everybody just kind of froze up and then things kind of started happening, although it did coincide with the dot-com crash. So, but again, like, is this like bigger than any of those? Is it smaller? Like, what do you guys think?
Oh boy.
Pass. You're the
Pass.
guest.
But you're asking the wrong guy. I have no idea.
Wrong guy.
Though,
You're like an accountant. You're supposed to know everything about numbers.
former accountant, I have the letters, but don't ask me to do your taxes. But I always go back to, so in during the financial crisis when I was graduating university, that's when I started dabbling in real estate as well. So I have memories of that. But I gotta say, for me, COVID was the scariest thing, and I think a lot of people forget. Like March 16th of 2021 was a very scary time, and the 3 or 4 months that followed, right? So to me, that is the pinnacle in terms of like fear. The stuff we're seeing right now, it's all man-made, right? Like especially the stuff. This is like what we're experiencing is directly because of Trump, right? Because of the tariffs, no tariffs, tariffs, no tariffs. So I think that will be short-lived simply
Is it
because
just
people.
because of Trump though? Sorry to interrupt.
I feel
Well,
like it
no,
was
listen, the
taken
market.
off before that, though.
No,
It was
no, no. The
starting to
market was already
rebound.
slow. No, no, the market was slow. The market was slow. I can pinpoint right down to the date when all this tariff talk started. That is when I started listings. I started noticing listings and activity just go to shit. And you even saw on certain Facebook groups and things like that, realtors asking, "Hey, my buyers are concerned about losing their jobs over the tariffs. What do you have objection handlers?" And I was just laughing. I'm like, "What objection handler? If somebody's scared about losing their job, there's just that's it. Like
Don't
there's
worry,
no
just buy. What's the
yeah.
worst that can happen?
So
We'll rent out the bedrooms.
There's
I
no
was
got a
better time to
guy.
buy real
I
estate
got a
than
guy.
now.
it was hilarious, but you started seeing that kind of trickle in. I think it was end of January, and that's when I started seeing listings, just everything started to slow down. And then it was the snowfall, the March break, and whatever. And I'm seeing it now kind of pick up, okay? But the Trump stuff absolutely impacted that. Like it was a really bad and direct, acute impact to the market. Like you can time it straight to the days of when he started opening his mouth about this stuff, in particular Canada, and then now. But I think people are getting fatigued. Ultimately, things are gonna improve, but they're gonna improve to another low base case of things are not that well, not that good to begin with. Trump just took a bad situation, made it worse, and we're gonna go from worse back to bad, but not good.
We talked about this, Daryl and I, on his show, his breakout solo independent show, the Frankfort Report. If you guys haven't seen that show, it's better than the
Oh,
Canadian Real Estate Show, aka the TK Butler Show. Go check
That's
it
right.
out.
It's voted
And if you
higher.
love Daryl and you hate hearing me, just like, why are you here? Like, Daryl's got his own channel. Go watch
oh
that.
boy.
That's
But
right.
we talked about
What are
an
you doing
article that
here?
just came out. So a guy in BC, he was
You're here for me.
a mortgage broker who was charged with fraud. So he had like over the past 15, 16, 17 years, um, $500 million worth of fraudulent mortgages. He made $6 million in fees. He was a mortgage broker before, but lost his license. So he kind of knew how to game the system, knew what to look for, probably worked with other mortgage brokers in order to be able to facilitate these transactions, and
Were
had a
they
bunch of
fraudulent, or was it him
yeah, fake
being in the
documents.
process?
Fake
Oh,
documents.
okay, okay,
And
okay.
so bottom line is he had a bunch of realtors referring him business, and there was a bunch of realtors who were complicit. And so they were obviously all benefiting because they're making sales to buyers who are unqualified through fraudulent mortgages. Long story short is the realtors are all getting fined. And so like one realtor got fined
Good.
$130,000.
Good.
Another one was like 50,000, like big fines. Some of them are no
They
longer
got to
even
make
licensed
examples of
as
these
well,
people, man. Good.
right? And
Yeah.
so it just goes to show you like what people are willing to do. So like in that Facebook group, and I'm not saying that person or in that group or anything to do with that, is saying like, hey, how do you handle the objection of somebody's about to lose? Like, you know, you don't handle the objection. You know what I mean? Like you guide them on how they're going to be able to deal with their lives. You don't try to convince them to do something that's not going to be good for them when they could potentially be losing their job. When someone doesn't qualify for a mortgage, you tell them how to save their money, how to get a better credit score, how to increase their income, how to file taxes in a way that's going to help them qualify for a mortgage. And like you strategize with them. Like that's the job that we're taught to do.
And lower expectations.
But in a that too, in a get richer parents is probably the best answer. But
That's the
in a market like
easiest.
Vancouver, that's like so like overvalued, and there's so many issues there on pricing. It's even more than Toronto, and I'm sure Toronto, we got the argument to say it's just as bad here. You really get these type of situations happening more and more and more, and it becomes difficult for people to be able to live in those neighborhoods. So they look for options. Like I know somebody recently who told me that they're going to get a fraudulent mortgage, and I'm not working with them. But they come to me, and it was just like no big deal. It was like, well, this is what we're gonna do. And I was just like, one, no one's ever really said that to me before, like so openly. But like, and the amount of money that it was for too is just like, huh? Like it's like you really need to be in that expensive a home. But then they start listing off all the things they want. It's like, I want this, I want that. Expectations through the roof. It's like, no, you don't qualify. You
Yeah,
shouldn't be buying at this price point
but this is the
to
thing is
rent.
there's a difference, and I hope people don't take this the wrong way, but there's a difference between qualifying for the mortgage and being able to afford to pay the mortgage,
That is a
right?
good point. Yeah.
And so the way that it's calculated for many people doesn't work. And some of those
They can afford
people,
to pay for it, but they don't qualify. Is that what you're
yeah,
saying?
or they have arrangements in place that afford them to be able to pay for it or whatever it is, but they don't qualify for a traditional mortgage or any mortgage at all,
Hmm.
uh, at least traditionally, right? So if you still want to own a house and you can afford it and you don't really care about committing fraud, there's a unbelievably open market for this. And it's not even hidden. Like it's pretty out there, right?
But I,
Did you
but I, but
see
I think it's the opposite of what you just said, though. I think,
opposite?
yeah,
That
I think
can't be
most
that can't be right. There's no way.
so
It's
you
impossible.
I
feel
agree
that
with TK. Yeah, I agree
you
with
feel
TK.
that
You would,
people
you would.
you feel that people right now all can afford to pay more than the bank will qualify for them.
Not
Yes, certain people,
everybody.
self-employed people, all that kind of stuff. No, Daryl.
Not everybody.
Most people do not get the max from the bank. Most people don't have a big mortgage. Most people right now could go and get more debt, but they're already up to their eyeballs in credit card debt, in car payments, in life expenses, and all that kind of stuff. So it's actually the opposite. Most people, they're like, no, Mr. Bank, I don't want any more money from you because I already can't afford my lifestyle. That's the average person.
No, but that's
Then
the
there's a
normal
huge,
person with a
the
job and a
normal person with a
T4,
job,
right?
which is the normal person. Yes,
Yeah,
then there is this other category of people, but it's much smaller. And they
sure.
they are like, well, what do you mean? I run my own business. I don't have like a lot of taxable income. Or what do you mean? I got a cash job. Or what do you mean? I have like so much money in the bank, but I just like don't really have a job. I'm going to use my savings and my investments and da 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 to pay for the mortgage. Those people are in the minority.
So here's an example, perfect example to illustrate the point. A barber, let's say a barber will make a lot of money cash. That's the guy that is in the minority where he can service the mortgage, but he cannot qualify for the mortgage. He can service it, but he can't qualify. So that's one outlier. But then there are the people with seasonal incomes or incomes that are not as steady as a barber's. Let's say I'm a truck driver or whatever, and I'm susceptible to the tariffs, the broker, this and that, or whatever cash jobs or construction.
Stripper. Just
These
say
are the
stripper.
guys. Yeah, or okay. Stripper would go in the barber category because they're very lendable, but we're not going to get into that. So we get into these seasonal, let's say the
What do you
construction
say?
guys, the
Lendable,
construction,
not bendable. They said
I thought he
lendable.
said bendable.
Lendable.
both. I said both.
Both.
Anyway, so the construction guys are usually the ones that are most at risk. You know, any builders, Daryl, you know this better than anybody. Like being a builder, anything construction related. I mean, there's so much risk you're carrying that's the guy that he can't qualify and he can't potentially service the debt in bad times. In good times, of course, he can, right? Or she. So I think most people, I would agree with TK, they don't qualify. And then on top of it, they can't service it as well. But they're looking for those docs to try to make it happen and figure it out in the back end, hopefully, renting rooms and whatever.
That's the scariest ones.
That's
Those are
fucking
the scary
bad.
ones.
Yeah,
The
that's
people who are
worse.
like, it was like the couple that I met who bought a pre-con up north for $3.1 million. And then they said, we can't afford this.
What?
They said, we can't afford
After
this.
they said that?
They said, we
After?
can't afford this. It's $3.1 million. How are we going to do this? And then they came up with the idea, I know, we'll buy 3 more pre-cons
Oh, that one.
Double
and
down,
we'll
baby.
flip
person?
those. And once we profit from those assignments, we'll have enough cash to be able to afford that other
Genius.
$3 million property in an area with like the highest sale price in the history of any house ever was 2 million. So they overpaid
Nice.
for that one.
Perfect.
Basically went bankrupt on everything else. I'm sure they've lost their home by now, but they stopped answering my calls once I told them the truth. So
Truth
if you're
hurts.
still out there, call me. I'm happy to tell you the truth. I can't help you,
That's good.
but I'm happy to tell you exactly what the outcome's going to be and try to give you some ideas on how to, sell your home, take the cash, put it in your family. Never mind. Sorry. I didn't say that.
Did you see that? I think Uncle Ron posted something today that said that one of the big banks has put something on people that are in the steel industry. Hold on a second.
Maybe flag them as high risk or something.
I put it here somewhere. They're now listed as restrictive. Anybody, what does it say? One of the big six
Crazy.
advises their mortgage approval process for steel and aluminum workers is now restrictive.
It's discrimination.
Uh-oh. It's not discrimination. It's risk management.
Discrimination.
Can you imagine?
If
What
I
about
was in
car
the wood
workers?
business, you'd be saying, "Hey, let's go."
Car
Did you guys hear
workers
about the
next.
2 Canadians or 4 Canadians or whatever that got executed in China that we're making a big deal about right now?
Hold on. You don't think that that's worth
What?
discussing even for a minute? What I just said?
Okay,
You gotta
sorry,
cut
Darryl.
it off and go on another topic right
Okay,
away.
go ahead. What's the topic?
TK Butler show. No, come on.
This is why the
seriously.
show's falling apart, man.
This-
You guys got to get it together.
We got to
Are we
get it
falling
together.
apart? Are we falling apart?
Steel and
I'm kidding.
aluminum workers. He's joking. Steel and
No, but
aluminum
the
workers.
tariffs affecting mortgages. I mean, that's not going to just stop there. That's like the first shot, right?
Yeah.
So what do those people do now?
They
So
did that
they're
with service workers too in COVID.
in COVID.
Yeah.
Why? Like waiters?
Yeah, like if you were in one of those type of service industries, then they looked at you different than if you were in if you were a teacher or whatever.
They're but what does this do now? Like, what does this do to those people who? Well, actually, what the
They
fuck
just
are those
might
people already
underwrite
going
it a
through?
different. So they might look at their total debt service ratios and not give them any exceptions. They might say, you know what, you were gonna use some rental income from this property, and we were gonna use X percentage instead. We're only gonna use that percentage. So they'll just underwrite it a little bit differently, right? So they'll
Probably,
just
yeah. But
they'll
you know
lower
what?
the
The thing
risk
is,
tolerance.
we're talking a very small subsegment of the employment base, right? Because the big issue, the one that walked back. So in my prior life, when I was a CPA, like practicing CPA, I used to work for tier one OEM automotive suppliers, like worldwide, and I worked for a bunch of them. So, I was responsible for opening, closing factories throughout North America, moving labor to Mexico and all this stuff. So I'm very familiar with this thing. When they announced tariffs on automotive, I literally thought this is it. Well, it's
This
over.
is
And that
it.
was really a concern, like for everybody to sit down and be like, listen, this is gonna be another COVID, like we're gonna like shut this place down because first of all, there's a lot of people right here in the GTA that are employed by the automotive sector. These are good paying jobs as well. If you tariff this, that's it. Like Ontario's in big trouble. And this is when exactly I started seeing those posts on online. And it's probably people in that sector. So they walked everything back, thankfully, because I don't know, it would have. I can actually tell, just to backtrack for a second. I spoke with an executive at global billion-dollar automotive company who used to be my former boss. And it was like on a weekend. And I'm like, the automotive tariffs were supposed to hit, I think, the following Tuesday. I'm like, what are you guys doing? So basically, they all banned it, like the tier one suppliers banned it together. And they went to all the OEMs, which would be like the Fords, GMs, BMWs, all these guys. And they told them, not a single tariff is going to be absorbed by us. It's all getting passed on to you. Therefore, it's getting passed on to the end consumer. So that is when I think on a Monday or a Tuesday, Trump walked all this stuff back because I think Ford, GM, and all these guys basically said, hey, man, if you do this, you're shutting down the automotive sector right here in the US because it's so intertwined. The auto sector in North America cannot exist without the free trade we currently have between Mexico, Canada, and the US. So it was pretty interesting. And I thought to myself, if this guy is crazy enough to actually tariff this industry, we really have something to be concerned about. But I think steel and aluminum, look, I got caught building a building in 2018 when Trump introduced the tariffs back then, and then we retaliated, and I bought a steel building from Ohio. And my project my cost overrun was like 10% because of all the, like on top of the whole thing, because it was a steel building. It was $800,000 just for the steel. So I got dinged on that, right? But I don't think it's a big enough thing if it's just steel and aluminum. Not to say it's not important, but it's not a material enough, I think, to be a cause for concern. If it was the auto sector, I'd be telling a very different story right now. We'd be getting smashed bad.
So speaking of tariffs, so back in the fall, we imposed 100% tariffs on Chinese electric
EVs.
vehicles. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
BYD?
so, yeah. And what other
Oh.
parts? There's other products too. But anyways, doesn't matter. So now obviously China has imposed 100% tariffs on us other than like canola or something like that. So this is hurting farmers and all that kind of stuff. So just to your point about like American vehicles, when you look at the cost of those Chinese cars and how cool they are and how much better they are than what we have here and the cost of production and everything else over there, like you really can't compete. And it almost like lends us to start thinking about like where should vehicles be made? You know, like is it the most cost effective way to build vehicles in North America the way we have? I don't know. This is not my specialty. Like you said, you were involved in that industry. You know better than me. Obviously, with free trade, it's the only way it works. That's for sure. If we got tariffs, the whole industry collapses. And so when do we finally say, hey, maybe all vehicles should be made somewhere else? Maybe vehicles should be imported at a certain rate. And why is the government so keen on protecting those big brands and not like it's like everything in Canada we get screwed. Everything we've got here, everyone's got a monopoly. We just like shut the doors on banks, shut the doors on telecommunications, shut the doors on cars. Like we're just like no, you got to buy from these guys or else nobody else. And then they pillage us and they take everything from us and then we're all sitting around complaining about it. Cost of insurance, everything. It's insane what we have here, you know?
Yeah.
So
the
when is that
Chinese,
gonna
the Chinese have like in terms of cars, electric cars, the Chinese are leading the way, like
they're crazy the cars that they got.
substantially. Yeah, and it's they have some funny names too. And you guys know I'm kind of a car obsessed. So I follow this. Listen, I even made the mistake, like not mistake, with my luck. I'm the type of guy. I literally bought an electric car just before all this stuff unraveled, and now I drive the most hated car on earth. So I'm about to start putting different brand logos on it, like other people in the
You just
States
got to
are
get
doing.
a
Like
sticker. You got to get a bumper sticker.
yeah,
I
like
saw a guy-
Mazda 6.
No, I saw a sticker
Just
yesterday
get a
that said,
sticker.
I bought this car before Elon went crazy.
So
There you
okay,
go.
so that's from North California. That they started putting that sticker on like 2, 3 years ago. The problem is you can't get away with it if the car is like 22 or newer. Because if you have like an old
Crazy.
Tesla, then it's fine, right? but anyway, yeah, man,
No,
look, the automotive stuff, I I don't know what the solution is, but I can tell you that if we got the automotive sector from North America, like I don't know what comes of this economy, right? Because it's the last well-paying, call it blue-collar job, and I'm telling you, there's tens of thousands of people employed. They pay well. I'm not saying should or shouldn't, but if you remove that, I don't know what's left here. Like, I mean, you can't just be service jobs, right?
they can't. They're going to have to be
But
working
you have to
for the-
compete as well, right?
And
You
I
have to
still
compete.
and I still believe that the whole tariff trade war is a negotiation tactic and that it's going to be soon behind us.
I think so too. I think people are
Yeah.
going to get fatigued and it's going to be the new norm. It's a new threat, not going to go here, not going to go there. And then hopefully things stabilize. At least that's my hope. Cautiously optimistic.
Before we start talking about the next topic that Darryl wants to talk about,
That's right.
is the deaths of the executed people in China. You guys following this at all? Is this
I
not?
haven't
This is
heard
like
about this.
this is
I
like a
heard
mainstream
about it,
thing
yeah.
right now,
Yeah.
right? But if you look, it says that they're dual citizens.
So then
Right.
Oh, so they were Chinese
They're
Canadian
Chinese.
in China.
But you can't have a Canadian passport and Chinese passport. So it means that they got a
Okay.
Chinese passport and that they're PRs. So
Okay.
they're I mean, there may be
Well,
more
didn't
they could be considered more Chinese than Canadian.
well, didn't the founder of Alibaba disappear for 4 months and then casually came back a changed man? And
he's
that's
still
like the
gone. He's
oh,
still
is he
gone.
still go?
Yeah,
Oh,
try and
I thought
find
he
him.
came.
He
Okay.
reappeared for like a video, and then he was gone again.
So yeah, I mean, like, there's your answer. So
But that has a lot to
everybody,
do with the relationship between the two countries, right? Is like going forward, how are we perceived by China? Are we a partner? Are we an enemy? Are we with the States? Are we against the States? And I feel like, Trudeau really screwed that up. So going into Darryl's topic now is we've got an election coming up.
That's
And
what I
obviously
wanted to talk
Carney,
about. Yeah.
I know. And
How did you know
Carney,
that? Do you have
it's
my
Daryl.
sheet?
I can see it
Do you
in
have my
your
sheet?
eyes. I can see it in your eyes. Carney is now, been sworn in. He's our new prime minister. He's got all these plans. He just took whatever Pierre Poilievre was promising, and he was just like, yeah, okay, we'll do that too. Basically, right? Like the carbon tax is being removed. He's talking about housing, taking GST off of new homes under $1 million. All the things that Poilievre's platform has been promoting on, right? So now they're doing the polls, and all the polls are like neck and neck. It's like the
Neck and
liberals.
neck. He's ahead, the son of a bitch.
He's
That's
ahead,
why I'm
yeah.
wearing the
Trump-
red hat, because I'm on
and Trump
Carney's
says
team.
that dealing with a liberal government might be a little bit easier, and people are saying that
Bam.
Carney might be better suited to deal with Trump. Like, Bass, you're the guest. So, what's the
oh boy.
attitude of the people out there on the streets? What are you hearing?
Get
So
on
my
the
first question
bandwagon
is
now.
my first question is, Daryl, do you go outside in public wearing that hat?
Goddamn right I do.
No, for real.
100%. I got
Walks the dog every
sweatshirts
day.
too, man.
And that
I also
sweatshirt.
go out in public in
Oh.
this stupid thing. I don't give a shit.
Oh,
What do
that
I care?
explains why my Google reviews are going down. Anyway,
That's right.
okay, let me ask you. So
He doesn't
has
poop- he
anyone
doesn't poop
ever
and
made
scoop.
yeah, has anyone ever made a comment?
All the time. Why do you think I wear it in public?
Okay, right. And what are the comments? I'm just curious.
Great hat. Where can I get
Okay.
one?
Okay.
We got a
We
merch
have-
store.
Yeah, we've sold a bunch of hats, a bunch of sweatshirts. It's crazy.
Amazing.
Mugs. It's truly unbelievable. But hold on a sec. What the hell were we talking about?
I
How
asked
we get
Bass
on
about
Carney?
the Carney and Poilievre. He's
gonna fucking win, Carney.
So yeah, I think, look, I'm not a very political guy, but I'll
Oh,
tell you
fuck.
my 2 cents. Carney will win, and that's it. So basically, go along. If there's a way to make money in equities in Canada, you got to figure out how to profit off of crime, social decline, and just kind of like what we saw for the last
Climate.
9 years.
Looks like climate's gonna be back
Just
in
anything
fashion.
bad, yeah, anything bad that's not good for this country. I feel that's where, how do you profit off of that? I think it's gonna be nonsense, but he's gonna win.
So that means real estate's good because they're gonna pump
Yeah,
money
yeah,
into
yeah.
this bastard, right?
It's
That's
gonna
his-
stabilize it, so that would be a win if it stabilizes.
Well, that's one of the
'cause-
things that Carney has been very vocal on, and in the past, if you look at all the stuff that he's talked about when he was the Bank of Canada Governor General, is housing stimulates the economy, and that he can't necessarily influence the Bank of Canada, right, as a prime minister, but he can certainly advise the general public on his views, which is if rates were lower, then it means that it would stimulate housing, and that would be really good for our economy overall. So it's that.
Yes, it will be a short-term win, I think, but to the detriment of the country in general. So what
The
about
people
young
in the
people?
comments hate you now, Fast, for saying that Carney's going to win. Okay, you've just
He will. I
He's
mean, look,
gonna fucking win.
He's
you
gonna
won
win.
them over, and now they are just spitting you out right now. I can just
No,
see
they all
the
know it
text
too.
but
underneath.
it's impossible. Look, it's impossible to ever do the right thing because everything is about short-termism, right? So we're just gonna keep eroding. Okay, so Poilievre is basically Stephen Harper 2.0, which would be a good thing because during Harper in 2015 we had a balanced budget. Okay, but that came at a cost. That came at a social cost of doing cuts, austerity, all that stuff. We are so beyond that, nobody has a stomach for any sort of pain. So ultimately, the pain is just going to come in the end in a different form, and it's going to be worse. Rather than being proactive about it now, it's just we're going to have the government that we're going to get that's going to keep, supporting us without any plan of actually balancing the budget, which I think that's the biggest mistake. And then we're not going to be able to fund our social security and all that stuff and, welfare, social safety nets that currently exist because we're going to keep going to debt. And then the big thing is going to happen. But until then, I think people are just going to always vote for the immediate benefit. So yeah, he's going to be good for the real estate market, most likely.
Well, I
Better than
disagree with
Polyev.
you and the liberal Darryl because I still think that Pierre is going to win. Okay. His
Oh.
red hat shows his true colors, Darryl.
That's right.
I'm just joking. But
I'm
anyways,
jumping on the bandwagon
Pierre-
before it
Pierre
happens.
Pierre is still got the following. I think that right now the conservative supporters are just basically sleeping. They thought it was in the books. All right. They thought that this election was in the books. They didn't need to work hard anymore.
Oh, right on.
Now I'm a conservative that wants to save Canada. Either way,
Oh, wow.
we're
Okay,
And
right
now,
on.
either
and
way,
now,
we're fucked.
And now, once the polls start happening out again, and that there'll be some a little bit more campaigning on, voter turnout. What's going on here?
Oh,
I
wow.
knew it. I knew it all along. He was a red hat.
Double agent.
Red
will,
caps.
That will stimulate more young people to get out and vote because I mean, who's fooled? Who's fooled by this? New Carney promises. He literally just said everything that Polyever's been saying over the last year.
No,
Like he
my
just
parents are
copied him.
fooled for sure.
He just
People like my
copied
parents
him.
are fooled. People that are watching CNN and NBC and
Mm.
the mainstream media, and they're a lot of the voter base.
They're like
They're
all the voter
fucking
base.
fooled.
When I go vote, it's
And
all people over 60.
let's remember the honest to God truth of the situation is that the voting isn't even fucking real. And the votes don't actually get tabulated and counted and mean a goddamn thing. And we're going to see nobody's actually voting for Carney and he's going to win. Okay. You find me somebody, get them on the show that's voting for Carney.
They literally
Somebody that's
had
willing
an
to admit it.
investigation. They had like the ombudsman or whoever's in charge of looking
what?
into voter fraud, the ombudsman, and
Ombudsman?
whoever's in charge of voter fraud, look into if there's any foreign influence or fraud or anything like that. And like they looked
Oh,
into
yeah.
it, there was nothing.
And that guy
No, there's some
wasn't
little
paid
things-
off either, right?
And there's some things that happen here and there that people talk about, but like, come on. Our
I'm
voting
going to bring my
system
tinfoil hat next
is as
time. I
close
didn't
is as
think
close to accurate as anywhere else. Give
This
me an
is-
example somewhere else that's more accurate.
Find me one person who's voting for Carney and willing to admit it. And then maybe I will change my tune. But
Okay.
I'm pretty goddamn sure from the sampling I have, which is quite extensive. I know quite a few people, gentlemen.
Extensive anecdotal sampling. I love it.
It's
Yeah.
extensive, though. No, but really, I mean, I don't know if I talk to so many people and I'm so tuned in with so many different facets of this. And I'm pretty active in the market as well on all kinds of levels. And so the conversations I have, what's better than fucking everybody that's got their feet on the ground in the trenches? Honestly, what's better than anecdotal? Your data that you want to pretend is reliable is months off, and then it's revised months later again, right?
We're going to clip this when Carney wins, and I'm going to play it back just so you know.
But Carney's gonna fucking win because it's all bullshit, and that it's all fucking bullshit. Come on, everybody
It's
wanted
strategic.
Pierre.
Look, man, like, their timing is perfect because Pierre
Beautiful.
is
Now
not-
they called an election. Did you hear it today? He
Well,
said,
of
"I'm
course, and that's
calling
why I'm saying that's why he will win.
Yeah,
I'm not
because
saying
of-
he's going to win because people want him, but like strategically, it's very well done.
I don't
And he
believe
will
it.
win.
Story, the fake
don't buy it.
story has been woven and it is out there. And look, all of us are like shit because the media everywhere, even social media, they hijacked, and everyone is talking like Carney is great and doing great things. And look, honestly, on the surface, he's going to Europe and making another, like a backup plan, right? He's dealing with China. He's dealing with all the people that actually could absorb some of or all of potentially the hit we take if the United States is for real. And so all of us have been sitting here for a couple of months saying we need to diversify. We need to get our goods out on the world market, not just down south and across province and out to wherever the fuck wants it, right? And so, at least visually, he seems to be working that plan already. While, like TK said, he literally just he's the prime minister now. He just did everything Paulie Everett was campaigning to do, right? So, like, now he's got everybody going, oh shit, like, you know, he
We
was
got what
the
we
guy,
wanted.
right? He's the guy who maybe he's the guy who can do it. He got it. He stick handled us through the great financial crisis. He stick
And he
handled
took all the leverage out of Polyev. Like this was masterfully done. And that's why I'm saying he will probably win because it was excellent. I don't like the guy. I'm not going to vote for him, but I'm just saying this is the reality, right? So
It's
well
unfortunate.
done.
We'll agree to disagree.
It's
today.
unfortunate.
I hope I'm
Vass.
wrong. I hope I'm wrong.
I hope we're wrong too.
You're still invited on the show. Don't worry. All right. Don't worry. You
well,
don't have
that's
to
the
agree
most
with
important thing.
everything. You don't have to agree with everything.
We're not going to
we
let
say.
politics get in the way of this.
We won't let politics get in the way of our friendship. But we've
right.
come to the end of the show. So,
Another
Vass,
TK Butler show in the books.
we appreciate your
good show.
time. We'd like to have you do a little bit of a shameless plug because you got lots of stuff. You're not on social media anymore.
No.
We understand.
Not for
But
real
there's still
estate.
people looking for good real estate advice. Where can they find you?
Me? Oh, I mean, YouTube, man. Just follow the YouTube channel. All the good ones are on YouTube. You know what's good? Your show. The reason you have such a loyal following is because we're real. And this is why I still continue to do YouTube. But yeah, Vast City Estates on YouTube, Canadian Real Estate Show, best podcast. Tom Story comes in a close second.
Close.
Far away second.
Close second. But yeah, I respect Tom too. I watched the last one you guys did with him. He's a gem. He's a
You
gem.
were
He's
one
of
of
the good
3
ones.
people who watched that episode.
That's right. Thank you. That's right.
Right on.
That's
Good.
right.
I'm gonna buy one of those hats.
You
I'm
should
gonna have
buy
to
one of those hats.
Not the
Check our
red
merch
one.
store.
Not the
Yeah.
red one.
They're
Not the red
affordable. They come in all different colors. You know which one you should get? This is the best hat. This is my favorite one.
Okay, let's see. Yeah, that's the one. Wait, oh no, no.
No,
You don't wanna
not
tell
make
people you
real
can't see
estate
it.
great again. That
Make
one
real
gets
estate
some
great again. Oh my
conversation
God.
started. That's for sure.
Well,
Go to a party with
anyways,
this hat on.
If you're still watching and you haven't decided to go somewhere else, like, comment, and subscribe. Check us out on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, on Google Podcasts, Instagram. We got all the channels, any social media you got. Just type in Canadian Real Estate Show. Check us out. Like, comment, subscribe, leave a review. We appreciate your time, your energy, your love, and support. And we'll see you next week.
Troll us in the comments.